Electrostatics, the forces of atomic particles. Now, up until this point, we've been talking about people or the planet pushing things around. But now, when we start looking at that stands for electrons, statics, the way in which they move. In our current theory of the atom is made up of three different parts. Now, it hasn't always been this way. There have been many theories of the atoms. For example, the Greeks thought that if you took a lump of metal and you cut it in half, you'd have 2 bits of metal, and then if you cut that in half, you'd have 4 bits of metal, and kept going, and then eventually you would arrive at a place where you have the most indivisible little bit of metal, and when you cut it in half, you would no longer have metal. Currently, we have this idea of 3 parts of the atom. The protons, that's denoted with this P+ symbol, is positively charged and it lives in the nucleus, and it has a lot of mass relative to electrons. Next are neutrons, and they are represented by this N0, and they have no charge. They also live in the nucleus, and they as well have a lot of mass. The thing that we are predominantly interested in are electrons, denoted by this E with a negative sign, and they're negatively charged, and they don't live in the nucleus. They exist outside of the nucleus, and to be honest, they have very little mass compared to a proton. In this diagram, you see that the protons, those, and the neutrons, those, live inside the center region called the nucleus. And the number of protons dictates what kind of element it is. If it has 6 protons, it's a carbon atom. But these electrons are able to move, and normally they move around the nucleus. And this is called a planetary model because the electrons encircle this inner nucleus, kind of like a planet. But here's the thing. Any electron is kind of interchangeable with any other electron. And so, if you had another nucleus out here, and the electron were so inclined or were forced, the electron could jump easily from one atom to the next, and then start spinning around this atom. And this fact that electrons can wander around means that you can have regions that have a lot of electrons and other regions that are missing a lot of electrons. And that is what we're studying in this unit.